Devy Degens, welcome to another episode of the Devy Degens. I'm SC Romero with Tom Harvey as my co-host, and today we are talking about players we are fading for this season. Why? Maybe their value, maybe we just don't like the outlook for this season. Either way, we think these guys should be players you're trying to get off of. All that on this episode of the Devy Degens.
Breaking down the hate, man, we call it like we see it. Finding all the gems while the rest just sleeping. Freshmen to the league, we ahead of the curve. Picking out the next star, put them on the reserve. From the big time schools to the deep cut finds. Gotta know who's next when it's draft day time. Stock rising, playmaking, watch them ball out. Devy Degens, yeah, no doubt. Yo, it's time to talk the future Devy style. Prospects rising, diamonds shining. Only the real ones grinding. Welcome to the Devy Degens, let's go. Let's go!
Devy Degens, how's it going? I'm SC Romero, my co-host Tom Harvey. Tom, how are you doing today?
I just living the dream, buddy. Living the dream.
There you
How's
go.
everything going on your end?
Good, man. Living the dream as well. I guess so. You could say this is what paradise is like, right? Having a show on Monday nights.
Right.
Only good thing about Monday nights, other than our show, is what our wives, have for dinner and get some good food in our belly. I guess you could say Monday Night Football, but we're all about college here, so we're really into the Saturday, night lights, not necessarily the Sunday and Monday. We still watch it,
Man,
but
5 days away.
Yes, sir. And for those that don't know, Tom's talking about week 0. So in college football, you have some teams that play pre-week 1, you could say. It's not a lot, but you do have some teams that play. So it's really
Got a big one.
A big
one. Iowa State and Kansas State square off on
Huge.
Saturday. So
that's huge. And we don't spend a lot of time talking about Iowa State and Kansas State, but those are big. They do have some heavy players on both sides of the ball there. The way you look at it, and Avery Johnson's a big one, right? You can talk about Miles Scott out of Iowa State. There's
Jace Brown.
Right, Rocco Beck, right there's definitely some talent there across the board there. So make sure you are tuning in because you don't want to miss out. Saturday is right around the corner again, and that's something that we've been talking about that we're excited about. And today's episode is really personally one of my favorite episodes that we kind of do, and then it's also the episode I like because it kind of turns some heads. Right, because we're gonna talk about players we're fading. Now, when I say we're fading, these could still be some Devy prospects that we're talking about. They still may be higher in the ranks, but we're fading them. Maybe it's based on their value. Maybe there's new competition where they're at. There's opportunity for them to see a downgrade in their shift in their draft profile, right? And that's something you always got to pay attention to as well. And that's how you kind of go through these trades or through your Devy rosters is understanding, okay, is this player still Devy eligible? Like, are they still gonna hit this projection that I have for them, or does something change? Did they get into a new system? Is there new competition? Are they just gonna fade? Do I need to get out of them now? And that's really what we're gonna dive into here today when we're talking about some of these guys. Our first one here is gonna be our quarterbacks here. Quarterbacks are always tricky because they can always do great things, right? They're phenomenal. You talk about teams, they always look for their franchise quarterback. Both these guys that we're going to talk about, I think, could they be a team's franchise quarterback? Maybe. But I also don't think, I think they're further away from a first round to be that for, like, they're going to need some help to get there and then take over the reins there. But Tommy, I'm going to let you start us off here with your first quarterback that you are fading this year.
Yeah, the quarterback I'm fading, and I've been fading for the last couple of years, just because I don't see the talent that some people do, and I definitely don't see the type of mindset in big in big games. It's Drew Aller for Penn State.
Just there.
To me, he's a big body quarterback that when when it comes down to making a big play, just doesn't do it.
Right.
He almost seems like he short arms throws. Go back and watch some of the bigger games over the last couple seasons with him, and he doesn't perform very well.
Right.
I've made the comment before that people that NFL scouts have wanted Drew Aller to be something,
Right.
but they see more of what they wanted Drew Aller to be in Sawyer Robertson. They
Okay.
say Sawyer Robertson is what they want Drew Aller to be. You know,
Right.
so I don't see a first round quarterback out of him.
Fair.
Matter of fact, I don't know if I see a second round quarterback out of him, honestly.
Okay. That's what this
You
episode's
know,
all about.
yeah. I mean, I've been on record saying that my top QBs in this draft are Cade Klubnik, Garrett Nussmeier, and Sawyer Robertson. I think those are the three guys.
Fair. No, I think you bring up some excellent points about Drew Aller, and we've seen it. I think the Devy community seen it as their NFL scouts love what they see in talent, and then you watch the tape, they're like, "What are you seeing?" Because it's not those, like you mentioned, those big time plays right there. We know he has a strong arm, but he's not connecting on it, right? When you think about Penn State and what they do, last year it was based on the defense. They had an excellent defense and their running game. They had two solid running backs, and they actually have a running back funnel right now. They have solid running backs just in that room, and so it's hard to really adjust Drew Aller because I think you drafted him with the hype of, oh, he's a first round talent. Coaches like him at that. But if we don't see that this year, I mean, he's staying all these years. That's like, if we don't see it, there's definitely going to be a drop off. And he's going to be one of those quarterbacks that ends up dropping further back because you're going to see some other quarterbacks kind of jump that, like the Sawyer Robertson out at Baylor, you know. And again, the arm is there. He's really, we saw more than what we saw in JJ McCarthy. We've seen more, right? I feel it's almost like the same. The difference is JJ McCarthy was part of a national championship team. Aller hasn't been there yet. And really, you go back, watch the tape again, their offense is based off their running game. And of course, that has to do with the system, the coordinator that they're in. But at the same time, you want the quarterback to be able to go adjust. And I say time and time again, when you watch these quarterbacks, is the quarterback good that he's making his wide receivers great? Or does the quarterback need wide receivers to make him great? Aller, can he be great? Yeah, you put him on the team. Let's say I know Giants just drafted Jackson Dart. Let's say they get him
who is looking phenomenal in the preseason so far.
Right. So he's probably not going to happen. So maybe that's a bad example. Let's say we're going to use it because that's the one off the top I could think of. Let's say they draft, they get him in the third, fourth round. Drew Aller. Dart goes down. Now Aller has Malik Nabers. That's a huge setup. But then you can be like, oh, Aller's this great quarterback. No, it's going to be Malik Nabers is that good of wide receiver. Right. And those are the things you have to watch out for quarterbacks like Drew Aller, because he's not showing he's not showing that he's taking control of the game. He's not making that clutch decision there.
When you brought up JJ McCarthy, a couple minutes ago, the difference there is JJ McCarthy would make big time throws in big time situations.
For sure.
You go back to that game a couple of years ago in the playoffs against Alabama. That was JJ McCarthy making plays.
Yeah.
He made a couple really phenomenal throws, especially to Roman Wilson.
Right.
Whereas I've never seen Drew Aller make a big throw in a big time situation.
Yeah. Yeah, it just seems again I think he relies too much on the running game, and that could be his crutch right there. Is that he goes to NFL team that doesn't have that kind of stability at the running back position.
Right.
It's all on him. What's going to happen? Maybe he's 9-7 type of quarterback, but I don't know. He's really going to elevate the team to be that franchise guy. Now, my quarterback here, I'm fading him in the sense of the value that I'm seeing him going right now, because I think he's going to have a good season. I've said he's going to lead the SEC in rushing yards for quarterbacks, and that's Oklahoma's John Mateer. And the reason why I'm saying that is because I've been doing some Devy mocks. Shout out to guys at the Devy Dojo, Dustin and Chris. They're a great group, have a good show as well. They've been hosting a lot of mocks. And with that, I see John Mateer go anywhere from the third to maybe the late fourth type of round. And that I'm not mad at that. But then I look at the quarterbacks on the board, and I'm like, I'd rather pass on him and get these quarterbacks later. Deuce Knight, a freshman coming in. Okay, I get it. He's a freshman, but he looks solid. You could talk about Julian Sayin, who I absolutely love, who got the starting job at Ohio State, who I think is going to be phenomenal, is going after him as well. There's quarterbacks left on the board that's like, at his hype right now, I think there's true value there that you can get something out of it. He's transitioning from Washington State to Oklahoma, going to the SEC. He's going with his offensive coordinator. He's not really changing the system, but he's going to say SEC is a lot faster than what it was at Washington State.
Right.
And there's going to be different opportunity or he's going to have to rely on a lot more, and I don't know if it's going to translate over very well.
Yeah, I mean, a couple years ago, I was really high on Cam Ward coming out of Washington State. That was a different situation. They were in the Pac-12. They played Power 4 teams.
Right.
Last year, John Mateer did not.
Right.
He was, he didn't play a Power 4 schedule.
Right.
Of course, when Ward was in the Pac-12, they were it was a Power 5. But
Right.
so I mean, he's taking a massive jump into the SEC here.
Right.
And he's playing one of the 3 or 4 hardest schedules in the entire country.
Right.
So I don't know how he's going to look.
Right. And I do think, for what we see at Washington State, you could say the talent's there, right? That he could be a quarterback that NFL scouts like. But again, I think this is an opportunity where you can get out before it possibly gets bad. And that's where this comes into a fade for me, because there is true value in for him and what the hype in. People like what they see in him. But again, like you mentioned, he's making this massive jump where he's really high right now, that the fall is going to be tremendous if it happens, right? And so that's where you can kind of get some value out. As I mentioned, Julian Saint's a quarterback that goes after him. I'd rather have Saint all day over him. Yeah. So I try to offer Mateer and plus to get Saint, or try to get Saint plus a little something in the end to go out there and get it as well. Again, this was just Devy Mock startup mocks too. But again, going into the third round, there's still talent around there that you could possibly get at that pick as well.
Yeah, on that, just a note on John Mateer. I haven't been picking him up in any Devy drafts, and I've really faded him in CFF and CFP drafts also, just because of that big jump he's making into the SEC. I don't know how he's going to translate.
Yeah, it's definitely something where, again, the value's there right now. Sometimes you got to get the guys during the preseason, trade them away based on their value, because once that season comes, if it looks rough, it's going to be hard to move them around. But let's go ahead and move on to our running backs here. I'm going to let you start us off again. You have a nice running back that I feel like we were both high on when he was a freshman coming into the college football scene, and now it's kind of like, all right, we're worrying about him. Well, who's your running back fade?
Yeah, my fade is going to be Justice Haynes. He's getting way too much hype right now for a guy who's going to be splitting carries. And he hasn't really proven anything. He was a clear number 2 last year behind Jam Miller. And honestly, I don't know if he's even as good as Jordan Marshall.
Yeah.
No, we haven't seen it.
Yeah. And again, that's why I say, we were hardly the freshman tape, right? When we watched the high school tape, because it's like, oh, this is a guy that has great elusiveness. He has that speed, that open field. We know Michigan likes to run the ball. And so I understand there's hope there for a guy like Justin Hayes to really go out there and get it. But Jordan Marshall isn't a back you can truly fade. And even if that, last year we saw Khalil Millions kind of take over Donald Edwards, who people were higher on when he returned. Like, okay, he's got a great season. Then Khalil Millions came in. Kind of a similar situation where I feel Justin Hayes could possibly be third down, catch passing back, change the pace back. But yet Jordan Marshall might be the full-time, every down type of back for them. Not to mention Bryce Underwood's there as well. We know he likes to run, or he's a good runner as well. The Devy asset-wise of Justin Haynes, I feel it. C2C or CFF, I'm not mad at it because I get it. You hope there's production. But Devy, again, you're talking about guys that have some value. You can probably get someone else later. Jaden Ball's rising in the ranks. You might be able to get him a little bit later than what you might see Justin Haynes go for, right? And Jordan Marshall, you just mentioned his counterpart in Michigan, might not even go in your Devy drafts right now if you're doing just a small one, like 5 rounds, and you can get him in the waivers.
Well, I'm telling you, I mean, you may even be able to get some like an Usman Chroma for him.
Yeah.
With as high as what Justice Haynes' value is, or supposed value is. I mean, people are taking him way too early. I'd much rather have an Usman Chroma.
I'm saying that's a freshman too, and we could say we were wrong about Justice Haynes because again, I feel we were both high when he came in as a freshman. Traded it for another freshman though, but those are the risks you take, and now you can gain that value because of Usman. He has opportunity to be the RB1 in Florida State, so there is opportunity there. A guy I'm faded here is Louisville's Isaac Brown, running back there. Reason why is this was a true freshman last year. The freshman at Louisville, the three freshmen, 300 Mustard had a freshman attack were looking good. Isaac Brown had just over 1,000 yards, if I'm not mistaken. And then you have opportunity there. It's great. They also brought in someone in Duke Watson, though, who is a ground and pound type of back. I think Isaac Brown's a little bit faster than Duke, but I feel Duke is the more complete running back for them. And they brought him in knowing Isaac Brown was a good job. He still went over and transferred over there. So that kind of tells me they had some hesitation. Maybe it's on the other backs. They wanted just some more depth for it. But I feel bringing in Duke Watson, that's a red flag for me in the sense of saying, okay, I think this is a running back I need to be wary on for it as well. Especially your Devy Degens, seeing that freshman hype. We get excited for those freshmen that have those big plays or those big seasons. We're like, this is going to be great. But now something's changing. There's a different running back in the room, a veteran, a seasoned running back in the room in Duke Watson that could really challenge him and kind of take over. So you might be losing some value on Isaac Brown there.
Well, they were freshmen together last year at Louisville. But the main reason I don't like Isaac Brown as far as a Devy prospect, I love his CFF value. I think he's going to, put up plenty of numbers. I don't like him as a Devy prospect just because I don't like small running backs. And he's a small running back. To me, I compare him to like a Devin A-Chain. And I've said it ever since A-Chain was in college. He's going to get hurt way too much. And you look at Devin A-Chain and he's hurt way too often to be a viable RB1 in the NFL, which is what people draft him as. I don't like diminutive, slight running backs. I don't think they hold up. And running backs already have a short shelf life as it is. So I'd much rather have a durable guy who's who can withstand the pounding that the NFL is going to bestow upon him.
And you talk about, the power 4, power 5 earlier, when we were talking about your quarterback there, and John Mateer. If you want to say it, ACC could be considered one of the weaker out of the power 4. So you're looking at who he's played and stuff like that, that there is less wear and tear on him necessarily because he's not necessarily playing against your SEC or Big Ten type of competition. Even Big 12. Big 12 has some bigger guys on the defense as well. So there is less hope there, I guess you could say, and you're basing him off the speed rather than what he could do. Like you mentioned, Odshain, great cop. I don't know if it's the best in the consider fake because he's considered RB5 right now in the community.
I fade the crap
out of
an A-Chain too. So
no, I sell him at that cost. At RB5, you're selling him. You can get a lot more for. I'd rather go get Chase Brown than I would Devin A-Chain.
Yeah, I mean, I fade the crap out of Devin A-Chain too. Just I don't want to roster him,
right?
Mainly because I know I'm going to have to be picking up another running back to take his place.
Yeah, go get Ollie Gordon for him. He could do not just straight up. You'll do add some more onto Gordon there.
I mean,
Odshain.
I'm going to look up and see what Isaac Brown did against Kentucky last year. He had a really big game against Kentucky, honestly. Let me see here. He put up some big time numbers last year. He had 178 against Kentucky. He had 151 against Clemson, 117 against SMU. But then you look at certain games where he didn't do a whole lot. Miami, he had 9 carries for 56 yards. He's 5'9", 190 pounds. So I just don't see him holding up as far as 5'9", 190. That's basically exactly what Devin A-Chain is.
Yeah, and you're hoping he becomes that big change of pace back that just has that explosive power. But you also have to consider A-Chain's in a very nice system that uses that speed. Not every NFL coach or offense is necessarily doing that, so that could be a big change.
And like I was saying, Devin A-Chain is often injured, so
100%.
He just doesn't hold up very well.
100%. Now let's go into our wide receivers here. We both have SEC guys actually. Who is your wide receiver that you're fading right now?
Yeah, talking about often injured. Trey Wilson is perpetually injured. He's nursing another injury right now. The guy just can't stay on the field.
Mhm.
I don't want anything to do with guys that can't even stay on the field in, you know, in college. What makes you think that they're going to stay on the field in the NFL?
Mhm. No, that's fair. We definitely hurts for us. As far as Trey Wilson definitely has some talent, and we have DJ Lagways, our QB1, and Devy. But that's a big side in Dallas Wilson, right? And then they also brought in
Vernell Brown. Yep.
Verno Brown. No, who's their? They brought a transfer. Keep wanting to say Lambert Smith.
J.
But
Michael
that's not
Sturdivant.
Sturdivant.
Yep.
Sturdivant, and they brought him on. That's going to be really the replacement, I think, for Trey Wilson, the veteran there for them. And now you got Dallas Wilson, Verno Brown probably playing your slot position. And you're going to have those three in there while Trey Wilson's still trying to nurture that injury, not to mention Jaden Ball. Again, as we mentioned, there is – I don't even know if there's value necessarily in Trey Wilson at this point. Like, you're probably too late on that sell value for him at this point.
Yeah, you should have sold him last year.
Yeah, when there was some opportunity there for you.
Well,
and
you should have sold him last year at the beginning of the season when he was somewhat healthy, because middle of the season on, he was useless because he was always hurt. And now he has that stigma that he's just always going to be hurt.
So Beer has a good question here. What can I get for Trey? Yeah, so he's talking about Trey Wilson here. Funny thing, you can plug it into the Dynasty trade calculator, and figure out what you're doing there as well as far as Devy assets there. It's very hard to adjust that because you're based it off minimal production last year at Florida, and you're not necessarily getting the extended value. So you just got at this point, I think you're looking for, if you're playing in C2C and Devy, you gotta drop him and get someone else. I don't know if you're trading anything or packaging, but if you're in C2C or CFF, try to get CFF production at that point. Don't necessarily get the whole Devy prospect, or C2C, I should say more so. Don't get that full Devy prospect. Just try to go get some college football production for him, and someone maybe at a lesser school. Maybe you're going after someone that's at a Louisiana Monroe. Like I said, they have a new freshman running back there as well. You go get lesser value with someone that's just gonna prop out there and do something for them. Maybe a guy from Duke, if you will, as well. There's just opportunity there, but I don't know if you're getting any Devy type of prospect for Trey at this time.
Yeah, I mean, and another guy who's kind of turning into Trey Wilson that's kind of upsetting, because I really liked him, was JoJo Trader. He's another guy who's really turning into that kind of Trey Wilson type of guy.
Right. Yeah, he looked good. This is freshman hype, right? Last year, JoJo Trader looked really good. Didn't see the field often, but it was banged up, injuries.
And he's still banged up.
Yeah, it's funny that you say that, because my guy in the SEC is also someone that has some injury concern there, who's big hype going to LSU. Great wide receiver when he's healthy is Nick Anderson out of LSU. I've said it before when he first went there. People were asking, who are you taking out of LSU? Brandon Brown's my first guy, but then I would take Aaron Anderson over Nick Anderson. Aaron Anderson, I don't know if the Devy projection is there, because he is. You talk about smaller guys, he's
I like
small,
him,
but I don't know. If we're talking about if they're all healthy, Nick Anderson definitely has the prototypical size, right? He's like 6'3", about 190, 200 or so.
But he's only really a deep threat.
Right. For Nick Anderson, that's all he can be. And Anderson could fit around. You could move him around. He's smaller, though, kind of like a Tank Dale-ish type of wide receiver. But Nick Anderson, because of the concern of possible injuries, he's been banged up for a lot of his career as well. It's an easy fade. He's in a better position now with Garrett Nussmeier. There is someone that is a great quarterback, knows how to promptly get the ball in those wide receivers' hands. But I think there's opportunity for you to trade him based on the value of where he's at now, and go and get someone higher in value there, add on something to it to raise up on the wide receiver position for you. If you can, I trade Nick Anderson for Dan Key. That's a guy I'm high on super, and I'd go do that easily.
Good luck doing that. Nobody's trading Dan Key for Nick Anderson.
Yeah, no, you might have to add a little bit more to that, but I would try to get that.
You were saying you were kind of comping Aaron Anderson to Tank Dell. I actually see more of like a Steve Smith Sr. in Aaron Anderson. I mean, he's a 5'8", 5'9" guy, a lot like Steve Smith, but he's thicker than what Tank Dell is. He's about 185, 190, whereas Tank Dell is about 165.
Right.
So I mean, I see Aaron Anderson being able to be able to go across the middle, to be able to block guys downfield. I mean, that was what got Tank Dell hurt initially, was trying to block downfield, and he's not big enough to be able to do that.
Yeah. Tank Dell, you're saying?
Yeah, Tank Dell.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
I think Aaron Anderson can.
Possibly. And this year we might see it too, because I think you'll be able to use a lot more in the slot. Assuming Nick Anderson's healthy, you'll be able to see Aaron Anderson more in the slot this year as well, to just really kind of see that opportunity there for him. And then they again have Barry and Brown there. You have Trey Green. They might not even have a true one there. They might see a different amount of split work between all the wide receivers there.
Yeah, they also have Chris Hilton there too, who I think is actually a pretty solid receiver.
All of them, but he sees the field right if Anderson gets hurt.
Right.
But if Anderson's there, he's not necessarily seeing it. But moving on to our tight ends here that we are faded. Two tight ends that have some big Devy opportunity, but who's your first favorite tight end?
My tight end's Oscar Delp out of Georgia. The production just hasn't been there for the type of athlete he is. He coming into Georgia, he was expected to be that heir apparent to Brock Bowers. It's never really worked out for him. Last year he should have been the leading tight end there, but he was outproduced by Lawson Lucky. Yeah.
Yeah, not to mention they also brought Urasek, who also got banged up though. But then I know you're hiring one of their guys, freshman Jaden Riddell.
Jaden Riddell, he's a redshirt freshman this year. Yep.
So, again, you talk about we some of these guys we were super high when they were freshmen, or at least the high school tape Delt looked like he was gonna be. You got excited seeing it because you're like, this is easy gonna be a transition that's very well from Bowers over to Oscar Delp, and we just haven't been seeing it. Jamie, thanks for joining, man. And it's gonna be very interesting to see. Can he still bring it up? Sure, but at his cost or what it was, I guess you could say, you want to kind of fade differently and go a different route at this point. When you're getting these tight ends, later in the game, there for the tight ends, as you mentioned, Riddell, a solid one out of Georgia, where if you're taking that hit on the Georgia tight end, you might well go there instead than going after Oscar Delp, where I don't even know if he's a day 2 prospect at this point. It might be day 3, late day 3 at this point. Now, with that being said, my guy's going to be Ohio State's Max Clare. I think Max Clare will get some good draft capital. He's going to be more of a blocking type of tight end for me. Compared to the wide receivers they have at Ohio State, I think there is value in what you have for him. But again, when it comes to him, I will try to go get one of your more receiving guys. You're not getting Eli Stowers for him. You're not getting Kenyon Sadiq for him. But you could definitely pivot down and try to gain some value because of the name brand of Ohio State being there. There's going to be some relevancy come draft time for him and what he can do. But go out there and trade it based on that, because I don't know if we're going to transition that over to real NFL production. But I do see him go in some Devy drafts as a tight end prospect. I think that has to do a lot with Ohio State just being Ohio State there.
Yeah, he reminds me a lot of somebody like a Tyler Eifert, who had a decent NFL career, just nothing spectacular. Had a couple good seasons there, but was fitted much more as kind of that blocking tight end that could get downfield a little bit.
Yeah, I say that because I think Max Clare will be a good NFL tight end, but not a good for your fantasy production in the sense that it really does something. Like, he'll be on the field again, good blocker, but you're gonna hope he gets a big play here and there, and I just don't necessarily see that happening there for him, and that's why I say trade him at that value there. Now, those were our offensive guys that we are faded at this point. Before we transition over to our IDP guys, we are going to give you a little promo, because as it's draft season, probably about week and a half left for your draft. Don't forget, Fast Draft is a great tool to go out there, spend a little money, and you could possibly win big. But let's hear what they have to say about Fast Draft.
You asked, we delivered a full best ball tournament on Fast Draft, but we do it the Fast Draft way, and it's called the Rabbit, because of course it is. 20-second time clock, 15 rounds. These drafts, they take 20 minutes. That's it. So you get a lot of new people coming in and playing, get a lot of best ball bros playing, exploitable ADPs, no rake. It is the best EV in all of fantasy. You should just go to fastdraft.app, use code FAST. You get a $50 deposit match. These things are a blast, and it's the best use of your funds in all of fantasy.
Best use of your funds in all of fantasy. Go do fast draft. I have a couple rabbit teams myself. Great app there. You can download it on Android or on iPhone, and go win those best balls. Best thing about it, you draft your team. Don't take it till end of the year, and you're like, okay, I'm up, right? And hopefully you win. I think you said 8,000 or something like that in 10-minute drafts. So definitely a good opportunity there for you. Now, as we head into our IDPs, these are again guys we see have some high value that we're gonna be like, okay, we're a little lesser on just based on the value. Rather go after and get some other guys here. I'll let you start off here with your SEC defensive lineman.
Yeah, the my guy that I'm a little down on. It's kind of hard to say down on, but just because all of these guys have some upside, obviously.
Right.
But my guy here is edge rusher out of Florida, Tyreek Sapp.
Mm-hmm.
He's more of an undersized edge rusher, kind of shorter on the shorter side. I think he's only 6'1". Kind of has a limited ceiling at the next level because of that. Physically, he reminds me a lot of Derek Barnett when he was coming out of Tennessee. Just without the production. Barnett was highly productive, and Sapp really hasn't been.
No, that's fair. And when it comes, the defensive side of the ball for Florida might be one of their weaker opportunities there. There's definitely some room to grow for him. So it's going to be interesting to see what he can do if he's going to really gain that pressure. Again, we talk about the SEC and the quarterbacks there and the offensive linemen, the tackles, guards he's going to be going against. Might be a little bit harder for him to really get that. He has some explosiveness to his game, but as you mentioned, a little bit undersized. And that's something when it comes to these defenders, I feel it's a lot more to look at these defenders being undersized than it is necessarily these offensive weapons, because offensive you can be a playmaker and make it happen. These defenders, though, you're going up against these 6'7", 6'8" offensive linemen in the NFL. A lot of things change there, so I definitely understand dropping him a little bit there for it. One of my guys is a new transfer in from USC going to Oregon, and that's going to be their defensive tackle, their nose guy, in Bear Alexander. Bear Alexander, I think, is a great prospect. I think he definitely has room to make big plays happen or to close in on gaps. But where he's at, there's just a lot of talent around him. And being one of their, I guess, pillars of the defense, he's going to be good at just making sure the runs don't go his way. But based on that, I don't know if there's any necessary production you're going to see. It's going to go a lot more towards Bryce Boucher or even towards Mateo Ugalele doing those big things there for them to get the actual production you're looking for. You're going to watch the tape and you're like, Bear Alexander's good, but also it's going to be he's too good that it's not going to do anything for you or your team. So that's where I would possibly fade him. They have great room in the trenches there. Oregon, they're building up that Big Ten. Alexander's a huge weapon for him. But I think it's going to be more so of like a decoy to make sure teams don't go his way. You kind of force teams outside a little bit, and therefore I'm a fade Bear Alexander there.
Yeah, Bear Alexander is kind of a guy. He's more of a rotational player. That was a lot of the reason why he transferred out of Georgia, why he transferred out of USC. He was wanting to be considered a 3-down guy, but there's a reason why he hasn't been. He just doesn't have the motor for it, or hasn't shown the motor for it.
Bigger guy.
Yeah, bigger guy, exactly. He's going to have to display a little bit more at Oregon for me to be able to consider him a viable option at the next level. I mean,
yeah.
Obviously, you have IDP leagues that do require you to carry defensive tackles, but there's still a lot of the times where certain guys have dual eligibility, edge and DT. So I'd much rather lean towards somebody like that than have to worry about a guy that's just going to be a rotational player.
Right. Exactly. Again, I think he'll be solid NFL asset, but when you're talking about your leagues, I don't know, Bear Alexander's the guy you're really wanting to grab at that point.
Mm-hmm.
This next one, we're going to talk about some linebackers here. The linebacker I have is going to hurt me, so I'm going to let you go a little bit more here for your first linebacker here.
Yeah, the linebacker you have is going to hurt me too, just because I am high on him. But the guy that I'm not saying I don't like this guy. My guy here is Kyle Lewis out of Pittsburgh. I'm not saying I don't like Kyle Lewis. He is a fantastic coverage linebacker. I just don't think he's I don't think he's a volume tackler you're going to want at that next level. And he's not the type of pass rusher that other linebackers are.
Yeah. Kyle Lewis, I think he's gonna be good for college. A good college. He's gonna be good for Pittsburgh. He's gonna get the job done, but is that gonna necessarily transition to NFL? I'm higher on Pittsburgh. A lot of that has to do with hosting there. But with that being said, I do think they have a nice defense around, but I don't see many on their defense being guys you're willing to be at the next level to transition over to your NFL rosters as well.
Yeah, to me, Kyle Lewis almost seems like he would fit being a in the box safety more than a linebacker to me. He's like I said, he's a fantastic coverage linebacker, but he's also kind of on the smaller side. He's about 220.
Yeah.
So I mean, to me that almost fits being an in the box safety than more than being a linebacker at the next level.
That's fair. That's fair. And maybe he transitions over because he can be something like that as well. And that might be where he needs to excel. But yeah, when he gets kind of in those trenches there and tries to get up the line, you see him do get pushed around a little bit more. Again, that strength just comes in with his size there. Now, my guy, I want to say it. LSU linebacker Harold Perkins. Now, this is a guy that for years, again, freshman, talking about this is one of the more dynamic linebackers in the game. Reason why I'm fading him, and this could go, you can play either side of the coin here. Reason why I'm fading him is last year we saw Whit Weeks come on and start doing a lot of work. We saw Whit Weeks have a good season for him. The defense, Harold Perkins did get banged up, so that's a big reason for it. Defense looked somewhat confused when Perkins was on the field. You saw a lot more where it was like they were trying to make plays based on what Perkins can do. He's a great linebacker there. Okay, transitioning to now LSU, you now have Patrick Payton there, the edge rusher coming over from Florida State, who's a solid edge rusher as well. Now, the pros about this is what it can do. If you have Whit Weeks and Patrick Payton on the field, it could get guys off of Perkins because they're trying to block him. That could be very well. He can end up being a really good guy that maybe comes off the edge, or maybe he just plays in the middle now, and he's not having to do all that kind of stuff. On the flip side, though, maybe defense is still focusing on Harold Perkins because he is a solid linebacker, but now you have Patrick Payton with Weeks having that production there as well. Harold Perkins is a NFL linebacker. I think at the cost, though, or what his value is for your premier linebackers, you can definitely get a lot more for him. And I think there's opportunity there for him to not have the productive in the season that we want at LSU based on the defenders they have around him and what they can bring to the table as well.
Well, I think with Harold Perkins last year, they were playing him out of position. They were trying to make him a Mike linebacker. He's not a Mike.
Right.
So once he went down and Whit Weeks took over that spot, Whit Weeks is much more of a Mike linebacker than what Harold Perkins is.
Right.
Harold Perkins is a pass rushing edge linebacker.
Right.
Who can drop, who you're able to move around. You can drop back into coverage a little bit. He's not a Mike. They were playing him out of position. They were misutilizing him. I don't think an NFL team is going to do that. The NFL is going to utilize him the way he should be utilized. And I think this is an LSU problem, not a Harold Perkins problem.
Fair. The talent's there for him, right? So there is opportunity. So let me ask you this. We talked about these guys before because Harold Perkins for many years, maybe even now, he's considered potential first-round prospect, right? Mm-hmm. There's other guys you're talking about edge rushers, Mateo Ugalele. You would take Harold Perkins or Mateo?
They're different edge rushers. Mateo is a strong side, and whereas Harold Perkins is going to be more of a kind of a roaming guy that you just want to get around that tackle that's not going to be helped off, help chip with a running back or a tight end. Uyunglele is a big 265-pound edge rusher. Perkins is 230. On a good day. He's going to. I think Perkins is probably going to have to put on a little weight. But to me, he is more of that kind of weak side pass rusher, whereas Uyunglele and a couple Denny
Dennis Sutton.
Yeah, Dennis Sutton for Penn State. Those guys are going to be more of your strong side guys.
Okay, that's fair. Do you still think Perkins has first round prospect?
I think it's first round talent.
Fair. The value's there. Again, there's opportunity to do it. And I say that because we've seen it time and time again where sometimes a bad year dips that projection of them in certain rounds, right? So if he doesn't have the year that we expect for a solid linebacker, you could have some dip in projection there for him, and now you're losing some value. There is value on his name, there's value on his team. There is opportunity there for you to capitalize and get that value there as well. Now moving on, we've hit the trenches, we've hit the middle of the field. We're gonna move on to the back side of our secondary here with our defensive backs. Tommy, I'll let you start because you're gonna hurt me by saying this one.
Yeah, I'm doesn't bother me to hurt your feelings on this one. My guy is Trey McNutt, freshman for Oregon. I've just never really been a fan of small safeties with injury histories. You know, he doesn't really make for a productive NFL player. If availability,
Right.
is considered your best ability, right? And McNutt's already out for the season with does he have a torn ACL? So I mean, can't even get on the field his freshman year because he's hurt.
Right.
Is this always going to be a problem with him? I mean, he's 5'11", 180, 185 pounds. That's not, that's not safety size. That's corner size.
Right.
So I don't know. I mean, I've never been a fan of smaller safeties.
Fair. Now I will say you can never project injuries, right? So you can't bring the injuries into it. Of course, that makes a difference. Like you said, availability is the best ability there.
And some guys you can just say are just going to be hurt all the time, like Trey Wilson.
Injury prone for sure.
Right.
With Trey McNutt, I understand the small size. I do think he would have been a better college safety with being at Oregon. He's a top recruit from Oregon last year, or going in this year. He's one of their big time names that they acquired. The potential or the excitement when they got on was huge because it's like this is a safety that you watch his tape. Here's someone that could get all around the field because of his size. He's a little bit quicker. He can move those and make those plays. Think about safeties at Oregon. Aaron Flowers is a much solid tackler, a much better coverage guy than him as well. But again, that's just going into different pieces at Oregon. McNutt, though, I don't know if you were necessarily draft him if you're playing the C2Cs. It's hard to play Devy IDP, but if you're playing C2C, CFF, sure, there was opportunity. And he's probably a freshman that you were taking if you're doing supplementals that you're taking higher because he was a top freshman prospect coming into Oregon. Now the injury's there, you really might have to sit on him, or now you might need to package him together to go out there and get someone there else as well. Now, you brought up an injury guy in Trey McNutt. I'll bring up someone that was injured last year. I think it was a torn ACL, if I'm not mistaken, or just a knee injury. In Michigan's Rod Moore, a guy that has great potential, awesome opportunity. Played at Michigan. He's one of their pillars there as well before he went down with his knee injury and was out for the season. Where he's at based on where you're valuing him, I think I'd just rather take other safeties there over him. You could talk about maybe Kendall Daniels out of Oklahoma. You could talk about Isaiah SMU safety. Wacobia, I think I said that right, in Wacobia. Solid SMU safety that I think is ranked right around him as well. So with Rod Moore, again, sometimes people will look at Isaiah Wacobia at SMU. Maybe they'll look at Kendall Daniels out of Oklahoma, and then they're going to see Rod Moore out of Michigan and say, we're going to take the Michigan guy. The names, those values do happen. You do look at the player's college, and you're like, okay, he's here. He's one of their premier players. Obviously got hurt, but prior to that, he was. Now you have to adjust and make those plays happen and say, all right, do I want to take the guy that's at this school, this name brand school, or do I want to get the lesser guy that might have that more talent there as well? And that's where I would pivot over to SMU or Oklahoma guy over Rod Moore at Michigan.
Yeah, whenever these safeties start getting hurt, they don't stop getting hurt. These guys like to go in with their shoulders. They're always kind of leaning in, so they're always going to get their knees kind of chopped out of them. Once these safeties start getting hurt, they're just always going to. I mean, they're just going to have the propensity of getting hurt.
Right. No, I think that's where it comes in. Safeties, I feel in IDP leagues, your linebackers are your top one, then your safeties are, because your safeties are kind of an extension of a linebacker, right? They're guys that they can get high tackle rates.
Tackle volume. Yep.
They play more all around the field, more so than linebackers do, you can say, because they see the field more than a linebacker can, you can say as well. So there might be more opportunity for them. But with that, these safeties, they might have that good college production. But again, with injury concerns, like you mentioned, you might want to try to get out while you can before it's too late there. That's all we have for today's episode. Really, our fades for this year. Don't forget the Dynasty trade calculator. Our updated Devy rankings are in there. Over 100 Devy players in there, and it's a great tool for you to use, especially your Devy leagues, to go out there and figure out the value on these Devy players. You ask some of these guys that we were talking about, Isaac Brown, Drew Aller, what can you get for them? What's their value at? We're fading them because we think there is high value for them, and you can go out there and get something that might be more beneficial for your teams as well. So go check out the Dynasty trade calculator as well.
I think we're up to right around 190 players in the trade calculator right now for
Devy.
For Devy. And always scouring to add more. So
yeah, we don't shy away from the schools, right? It's if we see the talent, we're gonna mark it up and see where you at on the ranks there. And again, that deep because your teams are probably leaked. You're trying to figure out what should I do during waivers? What am I doing during the season if someone gets hurt or it's a bad injury or maybe someone holds out or they're doing whatever. NIL is a big deal. You don't like the new system going on. What can you do and get that value in there?
Well, shoot. I mean, you and I are in a 12-team league that up to 20. We had up to 20 Devy spots.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, that's like up to 240 Devy players. So I mean,
so we have those 12 team. Yep, it was 15 minimum, so 180 minimum.
Yeah,
that's what we did.
So 15 minimum, 20 maximum. Yeah.
So we made sure everyone got grabbed there, and that is our Devy Duo League. Stay tuned for more on that because that's an exciting league. With we call ourselves the Devy Degens. We got some ballers that know ball in that league as well. That's gonna be a fun league to see how it really plays out there. Tommy, college football's around the corner, man.
Oh, Saturday. Can't wait.
I did a tweet earlier where it was like people are, I'm so excited for football. It's finally back. And people like you and I had never left, right? So we keep it true.
Man, and just some super exciting news this past week. CJ Baxter, man, back to practicing with no limitations. He is wearing a brace, but a fully healthy CJ Baxter, as long as he's able to cut. Oh, man. Devy RB1 right there.
And we've been, where are we on? Episode 20, I think. So probably since episode 1, we would talk about CJ Baxter. So hopefully you've been with us because you would have already grabbed him as he was getting faded based on an injury, based on Trey Weiser having a great season. Hopefully you caught a good CJ Baxter load there for you. You're able to go out there and capitalize and really benefit because, to Tommy's point, this is a guy that, again, freshman. As a freshman, we're like, this guy's phenomenal. He's going to be a top running back in his class. Injuries kind of sidelined him. He's getting healthy. There's opportunity there.
And Steve Sarkisian said that they're going to be a lot more aggressive with him this year. So
there's opportunity there. But as we said, college football is around the corner. Week 0 starts this Saturday. I think there's some games Thursday.
No, they start Saturday.
Start Saturday? Okay.
Yeah, it starts Saturday.
So college football around the corner.
Got some good ones too. Western Kentucky and Sam Houston State are playing. Hawaii and Stanford. Yep, Hawaii and Stanford, and then obviously the big one you got Kansas State and Iowa State. Super excited about these games this weekend.
Oh yes, sir. So make sure it's tuned in. We are on episode 20. As we get through the season, we're gonna have exciting things to talk about, recaps, previews, all that kind of stuff. When we're talking about the Devy Degens coming into the season, it is here, ladies and gentlemen. For Tom Harvey, for myself, S. Romero, everyone in the Devy Degens community, we appreciate y'all, and we will see y'all next week.